Just a year ago, we raised a common prayer. We asked for strength for each and every one. We decided that we have no other way. That's how our great journey began. We skipped over everything that is redundant. And we took only what we needed. Together with us always are our teachers, shining the path. With us, our brothers followed from all around the world. In joy, with strength, in one heart. Together we walked as one family, supportive, committed, filled with confidence that we will make it. On the way, we stopped for a moment. We strengthened our foundations. We put a roof above our heads, and we opened the biggest sukkah in the world for everybody. And we sat shoulder to shoulder, gaining strength towards this crucial moment. The journey of the last generation. A journey of brave men, beloved, focused to a single prayer. A prayer for the whole world.
Hello to all our friends who gathered from all over the world, every corner of the state of Israel. We're delighted to open officially the World Kabbalah Convention 2018. and to say hello to over 4,000 friends that are here from over 69 countries, sitting here with us in this hall. And thousands more that are with us and are watching us from home because they couldn't make it. And we're very happy about this great, wonderful connection that exists here.
Rabash writes to us, "We have gathered here to establish a society for all who wish to follow the path and method of Baal HaSulam, the way by which to climb the degrees of man. And although we have not yet achieved this goal, we have the desire to achieve it. And this too should be appreciated by us, for even though we are at the beginning of the way."
So, as the words of Rabash echo in our ears, in our hearts, before us on the tables, we prepared pieces of cloth and markers. And we ask each one of us here in the tents, according to the tables, to write his or her prayer, his personal request of this Congress, of what will happen here today and in the coming 3 days, and what we want to happen to us, to our lives. Write it shortly with the markers about on these pieces of cloth. This is how this piece of cloth is going to look like. Each piece of cloth will have a written excerpt. Please be careful as you write, don't mess up your hand. And each one pay attention to his personal piece of cloth, of fabric. Good luck.
רוצים שוב הנחיה לכתוב על הבד את מה שאמרת קודם. כן, רואי ביקש. פשוט אתה תעבור לפרונט.
Again, we're asking everyone to write on the cloth his own personal prayer with using the marker, prayer from the bottom of your heart that expresses what you want to happen here in this place in the coming 3 days, and in general from here on during our lives. Short, precise, warm, and heartfelt prayer that will leave on the cloth what your heart feels. And now, after each of us composed his personal prayer, we know the connection between us is what's important. We're going to tie the fabrics in each table to one another in order to create the common prayer of the table. We're not going to tie the ends, meaning we're not going to create a circle, but rather we're going to create a chain of the table. When it's done, it should look this way. A chain that has a beginning and an end. A chain of that table that represents the common prayer of the 10. We're simply tying one end to another until we get one chain of prayers. Good luck.
We
know a person never prays for himself. We always pray for the friends. And also, whenever we're doing it together. By that, we're helping one another to raise our common prayer. And that's why we're combining these prayers together into one tight chain. Later on, we'll understand why we're not completing the circle at this point. And now, after connecting the prayers in the 10, we know it's not enough to have connection in the 10. We want to have connection between the 10s. So we're going to do it in rows. In every row, everyone at one end of the table will connect to the person at the end of the other table next to him. And we're going to create one long chain in every row, from the stage and all the way to the other end of the hall. One long chain representing the common prayer of all of us. And that's how we're strengthening the connection, the intensity of our prayer. So nice. Now let's lift those strings of love above us. Yes, in every row. You can get up and lift those strings of love higher and higher. We want to see them. We want to see this beautiful connection between us. Keep a nice row.
A prayer from Rabbi Noam ben Elimelech. Let our hearts see the virtues of our friends and not their faults, and let us speak to each other in a way that is seemly and worthy before you, and let no hatred rise in one towards another, God forbid. Brace our ties of love to you, as it is known to you that all will be for bringing contentment onto you.
נהדר, איזה יופי. כן, כן, אפשר לעשות שלום.
Beautiful. Yes, you can wave to the cameras. It's great.
ועכשיו חברים יקרים, הדבר
And now, dear friend, the unexpected twist. We have ushers at the end of the hall, all the way back there, and they're going to collect into bowls the prayer of each row to bring those bowls of prayers together all the way to us. Let's help the ushers. They will go from the back of the hall to the front of the stage, and we're going to help them put this common prayer into the glass bowls. Please.
Shalom.
וחברים, את הקשר האחרון.
Friends, the last connection, we're going to tie it now, the last knot. We're going to do it for our friends in the Mir congresses that for one reason or another they could not make it, but they're with us all year round and even now in all their hearts. There you go. We are with you.
חברים אהובים,
Dear beloved friends, we're certain, we're convinced, we know that when we connect all our prayers into one common prayer, surely we'll succeed in bringing the light.
Say mi corazón. Nada es imposible cuando hay fuerza y voluntad. Juntos bailaremos hasta la eternidad. Here we are, you should come along with one more. We can spread
Friends, let's turn off the phones. Let's make sure nothing will disturb us in our connection. You can see the frequencies of translation on the screens in all languages. This Congress, we want to get to know a few friends and give some props to the friends who came from abroad. So the front of the hall here before the stage is reserved for the friends of the World Kli. They're sitting in tens, and they were assigned to tens according to their languages. Also, during the lesson, we'll have a workshop. So we will sit in tables as full as possible. So we'll have quality, connecting workshops like we felt right now. Last friends who are still walking around, let's find a seat and sit down and connect and prepare ourselves together for the lesson. Friends, let's enter with all our hearts to what Baal Sulam was telling us. From letter 13 said, you should know that there are many sparks of sanctity in each one of the assembly. And when you collect all these sparks of sanctity into one place, in brotherly love and friendship, surely you will have a very important degree of sanctity from the light of life. Another excerpt by Rabash. In each one there are sparks of love of others. However, the sparks could not ignite the light of love. Therefore, they have agreed that by connecting together, then from all the sparks together, they will have one big flame. Please, Rav Lightman. The topic of our lesson is that in each and every generation one must see himself as if he came out of Egypt. And we cannot come out of Egypt, out of exile, out of the state where we are chained to our egos that is controlling us, unless we feel that he is controlling us. Meaning, when in each thought, in each time we look around, in each action, we see that the ego is ruling us and it's pushing us to do, to think, to speak this way, to behave a certain way. It's only our ego. If I don't feel that inside of me there's a Pharaoh and it is constantly controlling me, and it's doing it on purpose, intentionally, against the Creator, if I don't feel it, then I don't feel myself in exile. I don't feel myself inside the evil inclination. And then, of course, I don't have any impulse to come out of it. On the contrary, I might even feel good. Maybe I feel good in life. It really depends on what it is that I'm calling life. So how do I come to a state where I feel myself, first of all, inside the rule of the evil inclination, the rule of the ego, and that I'm suffocating, I cannot be in it anymore? Kabbalists tell us, in our corporeal life, we can't say it, because it has nothing to do with our corporeal life. It has nothing to do. I can live very good, and I have servants, and I have money, and I have honor, and I have everything in this world, on the level of this world. Everything is just fine. It has nothing to do with Egypt. Rather, if I'm in a group where I wish to realize in it my desire that we discussed before, and I cannot, I want to be intermingled in them. I can't. I want to connect with them. I can't. The moment I stop the effort, immediately I don't know where I am. If I will take, if I feel this way, this is already the exile. This is already the sensation of the control of the ego. Only in that, meaning just like we said earlier in our first lesson, we continue. Everything is measured only not that whether I feel good or bad in this life, but whether I feel good or bad because I'm unable to connect with the friends and together with them to build the upper world, my upper world. Accordingly, we need to consider it. Are we a little bit in exile or not? Or it's possible that some of us haven't even entered Egypt, and some of us who have entered but feel themselves quite nice there. 7 years of satiation, of plenty. He feels that he's in a group, everything is okay, and you don't need to do anything, and we're all friendly, and everything is so nice. We go through the lessons together, and also trips to the desert, and meals, even congresses. Oh, it's so nice. Come and see. And that's 7 years of plenty, of satiation. and we all enjoy it. People there on the outside, they enjoy their lives, or they suffer in their life. Poor people. We know what is the secret of life. We know what it is, and we feel good about it. We agree to be in it, or maybe we don't. This is my first question. Do we agree with our lives? Is it Egypt in the 7 years of satiation and plenty, or the 7 years of famine? Please. Are we in Egypt? And if we are, in what period? Please. It seems as if lately we're facing their resistances. We're starting to understand that our reward is that we go against the body, against the will to connect, and then we try it, and we understand that we need the arvut as a condition, as a covenant. So we are just about on the threshold of a new period. Michael, we're building beautiful cities, as we call it, so each of us will have the strength to continue this work inside Egypt, where we agreed to go after the connection. On top of everything we have, we came out of life. Doesn't matter. We come here to connect, and we're trying to search for fuel for each friend, and more incorporate with the other friends. Come out of yourself. Yes, and in those efforts of coming out of ourselves, specifically, then we slowly discover that we are truly in Egypt, that we are trying alone, and ultimately we understand that we can't do it. And we can't even ask of the Creator to help us. I think we understood it with our intellect, and it's now slowly overtaking our feeling and the pain of not being able to ask the Creator. Any of you experienced famine? I remember famine. We had 2 weeks in the army with very limited food supplies, and the food is always here. You always engage in it. You know it's futile, but your head is in it. You constantly think about it. And I wish we would be in the years of famine, and with Egypt, with our inclination to come out of Egypt, and how it doesn't leave us for a moment. We must come out of Egypt. But I think we're maybe heading towards the end of the period of the satiation, and we're starting to feel the famine. Absolutely, there's a new sensation in this Congress that didn't exist in previous Congresses. And this discernment of 7 years of plenty or famine doesn't depend on us, but in our ability to bring the Creator into this. And once we bring Him into it, we can actually determine if it's famine or satiation. Also, I think that in the preparation for this Congress, it was felt that we are... The excitement is from something else. It's not from the externality of things. It's from within a very strong desire, the hunger that awakens in us to attain, and we're less impressed by externalities. And it might be that sign of transition between the satiation and the hunger, the true hunger, the spiritual hunger. If when we feel good together, it's called years of plenty, then in my feeling, I'm pretty satiated. I feel good with you, but it's not always like that. And sometimes there's objections, resistance. You have to work. So I think there's years of plenty and famine don't always come after one another. Sometimes one, sometimes the other. Rav, meaning 7 years of satiation or 7 years of famine, we determine according to the result in us. Are we going to intermingle in one another? Are we going to increase this desire, this small spark that each of us has by the others? Can we succeed in that or not? If we're still in certain states before that demand, the times of preparation, we can't quite examine the conclusion from our efforts. That's one thing. The other thing is that we already examine ourselves and we see that specifically from our efforts to incorporate in the group, to intermingle in the group, we see that there amongst us is the evil Pharaoh, who is then called the evil inclination. Not because it's confusing our regular life, corporeal life throughout the world. That's we're not calling that the evil inclination. The evil inclination with us is that force which does not allow us to incorporate, intermingle in one another, to connect, in order to truly, between us, build such a system where the Creator will be revealed. First excerpt. So we're going to read excerpt number 1 from the article Love of Friends by Rabash. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, "What are you seeking?" Meaning, how can I help you? And he said, "I seek my brethren." That by being together with my brothers, that is, by being in a group where there is love of bestowal, love of friends, I will be able to mount the trail that leads to the house of God. And this trail is called a path of bestowal. And this way is against our nature. And to be able to achieve it, there is no other way but love of friends, by which everyone can help his friend. And the man said, "They are departed hence." And Rashi interpreted that they had departed themselves from the brotherhood, meaning they do not want to bond with you. This, in the end, caused Israel's exile in Egypt. And to be redeemed from Egypt, we must take it upon ourselves to enter a group that wants to be in love of friends. And by that, we will be rewarded with exodus from Egypt and the reception of Torah. Rav, meaning even when a person really wants to be like Yosef, to connect everyone, and for everyone to be drawn together, it's not going to do him any good if the others don't want it. But we must go through this stage. The Torah does not speak of things that are not, in reality. In the spiritual reality, it's written about each one that each one has to write the book of Torah. Somewhere else, it writes that he has to write it on his heart. A man's heart is where he has to write the book of Torah. Meaning all those things, everyone has to go through them. So, we will always see that our friends don't want it so much, don't want to connect so much. And still we need to continue and exert ourselves and perform all the actions needed for connection. And ultimately, we will reach a state where we will discover the good Pharaoh and the bad Pharaoh, and we'll come out of Egypt. But don't pay attention that there's a place for resistance. No worries. It's a stage where it has to be. As it's written here, they don't want to connect with you. What will you do? If that's the case, what do we expect of the friends that don't want to connect with me, as it appears to me, or maybe they do want to connect? What is the expectation of them? How can we use both their good attitude and their bad attitude? We understand that this is all arranged by the Creator, not by the friends. Who are they and who am I? The Creator wants to take us through all sorts of states, and with those states we'll grow wiser, we'll become more experienced, and later we'll become worthy for the spiritual work. So how do I need to relate to the friends throughout all those different states, only to arrange among us, nevertheless, the correct connection, where each and every one is ultimately included, intermingled in the desires of the others, and then we have a vessel for the revelation of the Creator. How do I need to behave with the friends? Please. Everything I see is in my will to receive. So if the friend helps or not, it doesn't matter much. We're in each and every state to work and to see the best state for our development, to continue to increase the connection.
We need to constantly, each and every one of us is also looking at what it means to awaken the friends in other ways. And there's room for everything. That's the beauty, that each and every one of us is different. Each one has their own pattern of understanding what connection is and how he awakens the friends. We need to always give room for all of these things in the group, in the 10. Because all in all, this completes the other. One brings aviyut, one brings zakut, pureness. The system is in balance constantly.
My role is to go and greater connection, to convince the friends, tell them, raise the importance of connection. And because even if the friend if on the outside I don't want, I can somehow help him. I can ask the Creator to awaken him, and if he does want it, I give him even more importance, even more fuel, even awaken envy in him, awaken connection in him. That's our only direction.
And that's what I do. That is what works on the friend, each friend in a way that's suitable for him, according to his own personality and character, how I know him. And I work on him to the max, according to every state. There are friends that go through a state and you need to remind them that there's none else besides him. And there are other people that if you say it to them, it will flip them even more. So you need to really be precise with each and every friend.
All those states that appear to me that friends are going through it, I'm going through them. It's all from me. It's all to awaken me to this action or that action. I need to see them as the Creator. The friends are the messengers of the Creator. They're here to awaken me to actions towards the Creator. Now the question is, what am I doing? If the friend is in a certain state, do I say anything about it? Do I give him greatness? Do I strengthen my inner intention so he will come out of it? Meaning there's infinite, endless work in each situation that the friend presents before you.
Yep, and to simplify the work, I need to place myself in a certain position of upper and lower. To put myself as a pipeline, and my attitude towards the friends who are a little stronger than me to influence them, and those who are a little weaker to see how I can assist them to reach my degree.
Rav, there is a great rule in the Torah. You might have heard about it, called together. Love thy friend as yourself. What does it mean, a rule? Klal, a general rule. It means that it includes everything, and there's nothing outside of it. So everything we can say about spiritual work revolves around this rule. Only around that rule. Meaning, if I talk about a spiritual ascent, in the sense, revelation of evil that controls me, called Egypt, escaping this evil, called the Exodus from Egypt, Pharaoh, who's that immense force of evil, all of this relates to the keeping of love thy friend as yourself only. So, right now, how can we relate that process? I want to enter a 10. I want to keep love thy friend as yourself. I want to connect together with them. Yeah? I feel that I'm unable. There is something that is stopping me. This is called Pharaoh, or evil inclination. I want to rise above this disturbing force. I want to escape it. All speaks with respect to this rule, love thy friend as yourself, because that is the rule. We can only measure with respect to that rule and see, am I in a state in my group where I see myself as ready to come out of Egypt, to escape, run away from this force that is not letting me connect with the others. And here's the question. How can we come out from under the rule of this evil force? How do we escape Egypt? How do we truly separate from Pharaoh? How do we run away or run towards love thy friend as yourself? Please.
I need to be in a state that my ego, it just doesn't pay attention, doesn't notice. Because the ego lives in us and it allows us to remain with Pharaoh, with all the problems, difficulties. All in all, it feels good with Pharaoh. It's still dedicated towards it. So when the ego doesn't realize that there needs to work in a very precise manner with the friends.
Yeah, it's a state where a second before the logic begins to take over this picture, you have to act without thinking, just going together with the friends. And a second before this thing starts to take over you, run further and let go even more.
I think also one of the things of Arvut is to be a distraction to the ego. It's something really artistic you need to create in the group. That it confuses a person in his favor, and it constantly diverts him from cooperating with this little monster.
A few things where we see that we can learn from. We have to, to help ourselves come out of Egypt. It comes to the sigh. It comes to a state of despair. He wants to truly come out, meaning he has a desire. The second thing was a force that's created here called Moshe, a force that will help him come out of Egypt and take him to Israel.
To me, it seems that a person can't make a single thought on his own whether or not to exit Egypt. I think you first need to, as a group, as a 10, to recognize that we have a powerful enemy called Pharaoh. We need to recognize it, identify it, and then make a covenant that we work that way on every situation. We are together working in love above all transgressions. We need to help one another without being shy, without being fearful. Just take off the gloves.
Together with this mutual work, we're come out of Egypt, and of course we come out with a deficiency after the 10 blows, 10 plagues, when it's difficult for him and he can't, and we take advantage of this hole.
There is no tricking Pharaoh. He's stronger and smarter than everyone. The only force that is capable of defeating him is the force that created him, the Creator. And we need his help. And to do that, to get his help, the Creator's help, we need to run like madmen into each other's hearts. That's it. From that it will come. There is no other trick that can even deal with these immense forces.
Yeah, if the Creator burdened the heart of Pharaoh and does it constantly, and he's telling us to come to it, come to this form of connection between us, we must come there with love of friends that we have as a leading force, the force that pressuring us that we'll be able to run towards love thy friend as yourself. We won't be able to lower Pharaoh's value in our eyes. We simply have to convince him specifically that love thy friend as yourself is the thing he desires even more than anything.
I think what influences Pharaoh is the environment he's in. A person on his own can't make a decision. He needs the support and confidence of the group, of the friends, to get really the Creator take him outside of it.
There's moments when you're despaired alone. We know those moments, but the very special moments is when you're despaired together. There's a feeling that together we tried and we've hit this wall, and there we pray together. We have to come to that through this collision into one another.
Yep, Pharaoh is me. How can I escape Pharaoh? How can I escape myself? It's me. Every decision is Pharaoh. It has to be something outside, something that we are annulled towards. But we also need the strength to do that, and therefore we need to agree with that together. I don't know what, but we need something in common.
In order to do this action of asking for help from the Creator, our ego always gives us 1,001 reasons why we haven't tried this, haven't tried that. That's the whole thing about running away, that together from this common despair, together we'll do this action to ask the Creator to change.
We need that force called Moshe, Moses. It's that same force we create between us that will bring us out of fear, will free us from that force that, with the help of God, will also strike the Pharaoh.
If we connect for a second the question of the meaning of life, Pharaoh is working all his life to work on this solution, but as a filling, as something we can show and prove here. There you go. Please, just like the child that answered Rav. And we have to use this force of connection between us differently. We don't want it as a solution, but as a question that's constantly growing and tying us, gluing us to the Creator at any given moment. Specifically the opposite force.
I'm really trying to still crack this question, because on the one hand we're escaping Egypt and we're running towards love thy friend as thyself. So how do you exit the force of the evil and find a place of shelter? I don't know. I'm still getting confused with the question.
A time of desire from above. We can feel it. We can tickle it. This common prayer.
Except number 3. What is the blessing that he made a miracle for me in this place by Rabash? The matter of exile that a person feels when he's in exile is not measured according to the exile, but according to the feeling of evil and suffering that he feels from being in exile. And then, when a person suffers from being under the control of the enslavers, because he has to do everything they demand of him, and he has no right to do anything that he wants to do. Rather, he has to serve and execute everything that the nations of the world, which are inside his body, demand. and he has no power to betray them. To the extent of the pain that he feels with wishing to escape them, to that extent he's able to be fulfilled by redemption.
Meaning, only if we truly we're truly drawn to connection in order to obtain the necessary will to receive required for the revelation of the Creator, because our spark cannot provide for us such a great desire. We need additional sparks from the friends. So if we're truly drawn to it, in every corner, using every means as much as possible through all the states, then we feel that we are incapable, that there's a special force here that is working against us, and he doesn't let us connect and reach the Creator. This force is surely there's none else besides him. It's the Creator himself, because there is none else besides him. But it is called the posterior of the Creator, or Pharaoh. Therefore, we have no choice, but as it's written in the Torah, but we need a great deal of pressure on connection in the group in order to discover how cruelly it is and that it doesn't let us connect. And why does it need it? So we would discover the prayer. So we will discover the deficiency, the need, our own need. How can we help in the connection between us? How can we help reach a state of, and the people of Israel, the sons of Israel, of Bnei Baruch, side from the work? Please.
This principle really touches our internality very precisely. And each one here knows these states that out of nowhere he has a thought of the friends. From the dirtiest point of dirt, from the daily mundane routine, suddenly a flash of thought of the Creator, of the friends. And then it brings sorrow. Why didn't I think of this before? Why didn't I think of the friends before? Why was I immersed in the evil, in the ego? These are signs of advancement.
I think that repeated attempts, a certain framework that keeps you, a certain covenant that keeps you here, that we're coming to the lessons, we're coming to the activities, and every opportunity we have for connection. This way, from this habit, we begin to acquire more and more discernments for connection. What is connection? What do I want? What can I do? What can I not do? Everything is scrutinized seemingly from the same place, but the discernments change.
Just want to maybe sharpen the question, at least for myself, meaning we already have some kind of desire for a connection. Somehow we attain that, and then from exerting any connection and not succeeding, then a prayer is born. But I think our work is to awaken desire for a connection, because even wanting to connect isn't something you just buy in the store. It's something that we need. And I think this is what we spoke about in the last lesson, of the matter of envy and an example.
We have to want to connect, and from that desire to connect, we discover Pharaoh. And from discovering Pharaoh, we discover that we can't free ourselves from him. That's what's standing before us.
It can also help in valuing each other and complimenting each other, making each other proud, awakening each other. that we're helping connection, we're giving an example, we're doing an act that isn't normal, isn't regular. And yes, well done, and give fuel to feed each other with fuel of any form.
Fuel and a place for work. The fuel is the greatness of the Creator, the greatness of the goal, the greatness of the quality of bestowal. And the place for work is between the friends in the 10, the world 10, Bnei Baruch, and those two styles that characterize the work always lead us to greater need of the Creator. And that's the side that we need to reach. These two ends have to pull them to their maximum.
From these endless attempts, this revelation that I despair from my own strength, from there this sigh comes from.
Do not agree with our state. Do not agree with the onions and garlics and that's so nice to us and we like it as a Congress. Don't agree with it. There's a purpose for everything. And the purpose is the correcting of the connection between us, is finding the quality of bestowal and the corrected connections between us. Where is this? Where are we? And what can I do for it? And when we're together, that's why we have to engage, to hit on that. Not to think, how will I reach the measure? We don't know when we'll reach the full measure. We have to work like a horse with those things. Just work.
Yep, working without waiting for the end. As soon as you start an action, and at the end of this action you expect some kind of solution, it's not a spiritual action, it's not the direction. The direction has to be for connection itself.
Rav, when is the exile over? When is the exile over and redemption starts? What is exile? What is redemption? And what's the transition from one to the other? And when? Please.
I believe these states are states that we've been through and will go through, and only now, if we build an inner effort and internal exertion, this feeling will live in us and we'll be able to depict it.
Yeah, it's possible the exile ends, as Hanoch and Shai said, when we stop demanding a reward for the work. When we work for the friends without demanding any reward, we want to serve the friends for the Creator, and it's possible that here, this inner transformation, that's the transition to the redemption.
Exile is disconnection from the Creator. That I try to detach from Pharaoh, I think I can let loose of myself. And this revelation that I need to reach out to Him and ask from Him, that is the beginning of redemption.
Yeah, when I begin to bring the Creator into it in my efforts, when I ask the friends internally, truly, without calculation for myself, I begin to advance towards redemption.
Exile is when we advance towards connection, and we definitely won't succeed. But here and there, we don't bring the Creator. He's the one that's making us fail, so we continue the work, that we adhere to Him in this state of exile, and that does depend on us. That does depend on preparation we do towards these states. And from the habit, we can again bring back the greatness of the Creator to our current state.
It's possible that redemption is also a continuous state, not a goal in and of itself. That it's a process. As we said, everything is a process, the work itself. It's possible that also the redemption is a continuous, constant state.
Exile means that I don't depend on the friends. It's the feeling that I have independent existence, that I can somehow make it without them. Redemption is, of course, the opposite state. And the whole transition is some kind of demand that I'm better dead than alive, that feeling, that understanding that if that doesn't happen, then my desire for myself, for my friends, then there's no reason for anything. Everything becomes dust.
There's a feeling that exile and redemption is in each and every degree that we go through, out of the deficiency for connection, through the connection using the Creator, the transition between every state is exile and redemption. It's amazing how we have to scrutinize these concepts every time anew. The exile is when we live life, daily life, every day passes, another moment, the feeling that, okay, fine, this agreeing. Excerpt number 4 from Rabash, what placing the Hanukkah candle on the left means in the work. One person contains the whole world. This means that Israel and the 70 nations are in one person. When the 70 nations govern the Israel in a person, it is considered that the people of Israel is in exile under the governance of the nations. This means that the desires and yearnings control the Israel in him, and the part of Israel cannot work for the sake of the Creator, but only for its own sake. It is completely impossible to understand with reason how it will ever be possible to break free from the dominion of the nations of the world within him. This is because, as much as one has toiled to emerge from their governance, it was futile. On the contrary, each time he could see more that it is impossible to come out of their exile. And this is why we must always remember the Exodus from Egypt. Rav, when we have to work on the connection, although all the forces, all the means, all the facts, all of reality is telling us that this is impossible, we must nevertheless reach a state where this is impossible. But when we reach it and when we examine it, and we will determine that this principle is impossible. It's impossible to come out from under the dominion of our evil inclination, our ego. That it's impossible to connect, not just to say words in the air that everyone can say. Rather, we need it to leave an impression, to be absorbed in our bones, and then we will be able to cry out, and the sons of Israel sighed from the work. And only then we will receive the strength to come out from under the dominion of Pharaoh, meaning towards connection. And then we begin to come out and quickly towards the light. The exit from Egypt is called Ibur, the Ibur of the soul of man. So, how do we go through these stages? From entering Egypt until exiting Egypt, in total. Please, what kind of stages we have to go through? And in what state are we in as we come out of Egypt? Reaching Egypt is when Joseph receives his brothers. I don't know what it means, but that's where the story of the 7 years of plenty begins, and then the 7 years of famine. And then a generation is born that doesn't, that lives under Pharaoh. And what's nice in this, about this, from the moment Pharaoh is revealed, are those stages where people begin to sigh from the work and they ask to come out, and Moses comes and this force begins to appear, the force that will take us out of Egypt. We understand that we need to connect. We want to connect. And we can't really do it, and we don't really care about it. I think that's the beginning. We begin to understand this is exile, and that the state needs to change. That's the first level, first degree. Before we come to Egypt, there's not even a need to connect, because the connection is in order to come out. That's why in the beginning we come as the people of Israel to Egypt. Egypt is the height of technology at that time. You have everything there. It's the best thing that happened to us. And until this process passes from 7 years of satiation to hunger, only the desire then begins to be created, that we need to connect to this desire. Yeah, first of all, those who enter Egypt are those with a point in the heart. Not everyone. Only those who want connection. After we came to the decision that we want connection, at first it appears easy. Well, what is connection? Just come, hug the friends, and that's it. I'm connected with him. Gradually, through the morning lessons, the work in the group, we discovered that it's not so simple. It's pretty difficult. It's actually impossible. I don't know if then, but I want to say something uplifting, that in memory of Exodus of Egypt, it shows that it's possible, and that brings a lot of hope to the work. Because as much as it's felt as like we can't reach a complete, true request, it is possible, and we can follow Kabbalists and simply do it. I really want all those things to sit on the heart. All those definitions, all those stages. I don't know. I can't really connect it to where we are right now. It's like there's something that we have to take from this that we can use as a catalyst to move one towards the other, to tear apart, to break, to put a hole in this stone. I don't know. I hope you'll help me. Maybe it sounds sarcastic, but it's not. How to continue it? We have to take this burn that Hanoch is bringing and look at one another, even if it might be a little embarrassing. Just close your eyes. Doesn't matter. See how I feel towards someone who's right next to me in this hall that is full of people that came from all over the world. What do I feel towards them? Every minute anew. I want to hug them. I want to run away from here. I want to make them coffee. Constantly work with these sensations towards them and try to scrutinize it together. In the beginning, if I connected the words of Hanoch, I think at first we feel good together. We're in the group. We feel good to be together. It's nice. But then there's a point where we discover something is bothering us, this revelation of Pharaoh. And from there,
if I would like to take Hanoch's phone now, then I would just stick him in the corner, and we need to stick each one of us in the corner, but with love, so that each one will feel that he's pushed in the corner, that if he doesn't now emerge with love to the friends, he's just going to be squashed, he's going to be pushed. Reading from Bala Sulam, letter 17. There is no happier moment in one's life, but only at the time that he is despaired from his own strength, that he has already exerted and done everything in his might to do, and he has not found a remedy. Because then he is worthy for a complete prayer for his help, that he knows for certain that his work will not bring him any benefit. And as long as he feels this force of work from his side, then his prayer isn't complete, because the evil inclination beats him to it, and he says that he first must do what is in his might and strength to do, and only then he'll be worthy of the Creator. And on that it's been said, the Creator is great and the lowly will see it. Because after a person exerts in many efforts and is disappointed, then he comes to a true demand, that he knows that he is the lowly of people and he has nothing beneficial in himself. And then his prayer is whole and he is answered.
We just started the lesson, people. What's up with you? Women, ladies, what happened? Look at the men. Just sit quietly. Angels, what's going on with you? Okay. So, there's no happier state than when a person reaches the final despair, because at the end of the final despair, when he's completely despaired and there's simply zero power and zero thought about anything, suddenly there comes a thought about the Creator, and not before. A moment before, it does not exist. The fact that we are here today so smart, surely we need to work hard in order to reach despair and cry out to the Creator. We're talking about it in one breath, in one sentence. But in truth, nope. A person is completely doesn't remember, doesn't grasp. It's not in his consciousness that he's doing everything in order to reach despair and cry out to the Creator. Otherwise, this despair is not despair. It's like it's a rigged game. So, nevertheless, we need to understand that this has to be a arvut and a strong connection. That in the end we reach the end of all despair, and only then we'll find out that we did all of this only in order to need the help of the Creator, and for no other reason. And as much as we talk about it here in advance, none is wise as the experienced. We will forget about it. The Creator will arrange things for us so that we'll not be able to think about it, but we'll only when we reach pure despair, really despair for the sake of despair. That's why it's written. What's written, number 5?
Excerpt number 5, Come unto Pharaoh, from Rabash. A sage has said, even if a sharp sword is placed on his neck, he should not deny himself of mercy. We should interpret the sharp sword placed on his neck to mean that even though one's evil, called self-love, is placed on his neck and wants to separate him from Kedusha, from holiness, by showing him that it is impossible to exit this authority, he should say that the picture he sees is the truth. However, he should not deny himself of mercy, for at that time he must believe that the Creator can give him the mercy, meaning the quality of bestowal. That is, by himself, it is true that one cannot exit the authority of self-reception. But from the perspective of the Creator, when the Creator helps him, of course he can bring him out. This is the meaning of what is written, I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt to be your God.
Meaning, only with the help of the upper force, the force of the light that influences us, that extracts us from the state called evil. What does it mean, evil? Where we cannot connect between us and reach a common desire to bestow to the Creator. And in this desire to bestow to the Creator, according to the law of equivalence of form, to discover Him, the Creator. The fact that we're unable to come to it, this is the meaning of evil. And then we discover that He arranged all of this for us because Pharaoh is the posterior of the Creator. It's the same force. That's why it's written, come to Pharaoh because I've burdened his heart. And in this way, Moses, meaning a person, is between these two forces, the Creator and Pharaoh, which are really the same, one and the same force. He makes the light and creates the darkness. And when a person comes to the state where he himself can't do it, then he requires the Creator. My question: why does a person need to reach such despair until he understands that by himself he can't fight with the Pharaoh? Of course he can't. Why does he need to reach this deep despair, this scrutiny, this fact that he is unable to fight with the Pharaoh? That Pharaoh, it's clear that there's none besides him, that it's that same Creator who's doing this trick on him. Why does he have to reach such level of despair? Please.
The system was purposely built with two contradicting forces. This shattering, if there wasn't a shattering, they couldn't even identify it. When he places them in that situation, and we do want to unite, and in spite of that we understand that there's no state, that's what causes the demand only if something happens and you ask, why is it happening to me? Why do I need this? Why do I deserve this? Only from that place.
It's beautiful. Why is it not enough for a person to want? He needs to want, he needs to try to attain it, and then finally to break. It's a breakage of the ego, because the Creator is showing that in the ego that I gave you, you won't be able to come out. You need my help. You need to ask me in order to come out.
From despair, you can do things you've never done before, that you feel that you're in the last moment, a second before you're about to fall with this huge baggage on your back, and then you find more strength, more forces. You suddenly found that you've done things you could have never done before. And that can give us the option to succeed doing this above reason. Not for my self-benefit, but for the others. To ask of the Creator to finally, come and help.
Maybe because with this despair, unlike other despairs, you can't overcome it and you can't do it. That's what creates the true yearning for the Creator, the appreciation for this force, the greatness, the exaltedness, all those things that have to be received, because without despair, how can we appreciate this thing?
This is actually part of the mechanism of the spiritual world. This is how you can enter and penetrate the spiritual world. From chisaron, from demand for the Creator, comes the light and fulfills it. Otherwise, there is no development, there is no advancement.
It turns out each action I will to receive is doomed to fail. So it's clear from the onset that we're going to reach despair. And it's a great discernment, because another discernment, it clears more and more parts of the desire until it reaches the place of the exodus.
It really stabilizes that demand that there is none else besides Him, that there is only a single force that governs reality, and this is just becoming a deeper and deeper foundation in man.
And everywhere he tries to do it alone, the ego supports it. Why not? If I can do it, if I can try it alone, of course I can come out by myself. But only when he begins to resist it, when Pharaoh begins to object, it happens when we go to connect with the friends and try to use the fuel of the society and not egoistic fuel. Then the real war begins, and if he went to the friends in advance, then he sees that he cannot do it alone. He cannot, because the Pharaoh resists it. How can he do it?
There are things, for example, in the kitchen, that you have to do them, you have to feel them until you understand them. And that too, to do such work, you really need to despair, to truly understand that you're not capable upon Pharaoh. You understand this intellectually, no problem, but there are things that belong to taste, to sensation. And you can't do it from your mind. You need to feel it, and then immediately you understand. For example, in the kitchen, if you have flavors, if you have tastes, then you're able to develop beautiful things. A little bit of vinegar, a little bit of sugar, well, that you can't really understand.
What kind of despair are we talking about? Ultimately, we have to grow the spirit of the fact that we can't ask of the friends, we can't love them, we can't ask for them. That's why we have the purpose of creation. That's why there's despair. That's why we're working, and that's why we want each and every second. So what's happening here is some beautiful fuel. Fall in love with the friends, so fall in love with the Creator. Use what's happening here in order to be every moment in effort and in prayer. As Hanoch said, it's a time of the upper will. From here we'll grow the spirit, and we'll do it together because there's everything here. And if we can't succeed, we need the help of the...
So why does a person need to despair to know he's on the right path? That if he's with the friends, only then he can reach despair. And if he's not going with the friends and he doesn't reach despair, then where is he going? Upon what resistance is he actually working? What will he need the help of the Creator for?
Because it's not in words. It necessitates us to sign, an agreement. But we're holding on to it, because when we come close to the despair, it's ready to let go. like a minute before. And that moment before, that's exactly where we need to have such anchor, such a bubble that can dive into the depth, look like a submarine. Has this round shape because it's the strongest form that can endure the pressure. So we need this circle, and when the pressure grows, we know we're certain, we're confident, secure in our submarine.
And eventually it's supposed to enable us to let loose of the ego. This is where the Creator shows us the ego isn't the clear where we will be able to continue. We need to try and break loose of it ourselves. We need to ask to break loose of it.
Despair is the only way to make room for the Creator. The minute you want to receive without being despaired from his own strength, I cannot do this action, but only when I'm despaired I can raise my hands and I can allow something to come in.
Bala Sulam, item 14. As they thought that the Egyptians are tiring them from the work of the Creator, to that same extent they were in the exile of Egypt, and all of the effort of the Redeemer was only to reveal to them that there is no other force included here. It is I, and not a messenger, because there is no other force other than Him. And that truly was the light of redemption. Again, as they felt that the Egyptians are enslaving them and pushing them away from work of the Creator, to that same extent they are in exile of Egypt. And all of the efforts of the Redeemer was only to reveal to them that there is no other force integrated. It is I and not a messenger, because there is no other force than Him. That it was truly the light of redemption.
So the question is, how do we nevertheless need to constantly yearn for connection, to collect these sparks until they will all exist in this one web in which the Creator can be revealed, and together with that, to be in this fact, the understanding, maybe the consciousness to some extent of there's no one besides Him. How do we connect these two things together? We must connect into this homogeneous web together in order to give the Creator a place to be revealed, and we work in it based on the fact that there is none else besides Him. He is good and benevolent. Please.
It's the recognition that we're shattered, and there is only one force that can connect us, that there is none else besides Him. It's the force that separated us, and it's the force that will connect us. We only need to ask for it to connect us.
We can look around screens and we simply annul towards the idea that these are parts of our soul. And how much do they want to connect, and how much do they want to express their love and realize the purpose of their life? And it's us. The Creator is showing us ourselves. And now we must ask for it, because they deserve it. We need to pray for it and want it. And there's none besides Him is showing us to what extent we need Him to complete this action. He must give us the strength, which is the prayer that will erupt from our hearts.
Domination of Pharaoh means what dominates our relationships. Because our relationships are there. We forced each other to be in that state. But if we're searching for a solution or a fulfillment, that is the dominance of Pharaoh. We need to work with respect to the inclusion of the deficiencies to create one great yearning. And here, specifically here, we're told that the Creator, He failed us to start with. He's not going to give this to us. He's going to fail us with the ability to connect, to include. And we need to hold above reason. We need In spite of these connections, we need to hold on to the connection with Him, the reason for our work.
Yes, in effect, from the sensation of the greatness of the Creator and the feeling that there's one force that governs reality, and Kabbalah start telling us that we can't activate that force on us. We are unable to. Our forces are not on the same level as the Creator. So the only way to work with Him is to ask for the others. Whatever will happen, happen. I'm asking for the friends, and the Creator works on the friends. And what will happen with the friend is the Creator's business. I placed my half a shekel, I give my exertion in the prayer for the friends, and the rest is up to the Creator.
Maybe that's exactly the point of connection between these two parts. Working in the group, working with the Creator. The despair is where these points, they suddenly have this transition. We work together, there is none else besides Him, and it's unclear how we do the action. On the other hand, the Creator does it. But through despair, then it all makes sense. We reach despair together to find there is none else besides Him.
Specifically from the intermingling between us and from trying to feel through the friend's desire and to see it, to experience reality, from that we discover there's no one besides Him. Or that feeling that exists in me and my desire for spirituality, which is in essence the desire of each and every one of you. And we, specifically from looking for this different point of view, not from my own point of view, but from this another point inside this beautiful circle, that's there. Specifically, we build there's no one besides Him. We exert in that. We assume that there is none else besides Him, and this way we build the intermingling.
But from that state where you're trying to feel the friend, and you're trying to see how he sees, how he feels, to accept it that it's him, then you see how everyone is different, and there's no way to connect. And it's like at that current state, it's impossible. There is no way we can connect, no way at all. And then you need the one that connects these contradictions, because there's no way that from the ego will connect. No way. Each one is different, completely different phase.
And the connection between us, this homogeneous web that we're building, or rather discover, is the proof of there's none else besides it, because it's all one, it's all connected, it's all working in this one web that's interconnected, and the Creator activates this web and is working in it.
Rav, how can we, in one go, to love the Creator and to hate Pharaoh, and to hold on to these relationships seriously, because there is actually only one upper force and there is none else besides Him? How can we seriously relate to something that is opposite of me, and that it's not making us weak to stand, to face it, against it? How can we imagine this show, this standing, and it's a serious one and it's a threatening one? How? Go ahead.
הכל זה בעצם מול תכלית הבריאה. זאת אומרת, גם הפרעה הזה שמתגלה, ואולי בהתחלה אני צריך לשנוא אותו, אני מגלה שאני צריך להעריך אותו.
Everything is from the purpose of creation. Even this Pharaoh, I need to appreciate that he's coming from him. I don't understand it necessarily at the beginning, and I want to see it. But this force that I'm beginning to work with is designed to strengthen me.
This is exactly that love covers all transgressions. That even if a friend humiliates me, even if humanity brings me to a state of hatred, that Pharaoh is convincing me that I'm correct completely, But if we've created this field of greatness of the goal, and we understand that we need to cover it with love, and with that effort specifically, that I try and exit it to a state that it's part of my soul that I need to connect to, that is the exact place of that Rav just described.
Forgive me for being a nagger, a total nag, but I think that we're missing something here. All these words, all these answers, arriving at conclusions from one another. We're not here for this. We're here to create a fracture. And I'm looking at how to do it from that. It's a fracture. How can we do it? We can't. Well, I'm going to hate myself. I'm the Pharaoh. I'm going to hate myself. I'm going to erase everything that I am. How can we do it? It's only if we'll have an environment that influences that in some way. So how do we make our environment such that will influence us towards that? How do we increase the intermingling? How do we invest? I don't know. I'm missing something practical. I'm sorry.
The environment, that's the only thing that influences a person. A person is a social being, influenced from the environment he's in. But if we increase love of the Creator and hatred of Pharaoh, whether I like it or not, it'll happen.
We're in the Congress now, and the Congress is an opportunity for many states at a great frequency and great intensity. Each moment is an opportunity to work with the friends, to work with a state that's happening on the stage, a state that's happening in the break, during the food. We have to create this atmosphere of work. I don't know what will happen in a minute, but I'm coming to work. I'm coming to scrutinize it. And then everything becomes very practical. Everything just is clothed on reality.
To speak practically, then it's to help each other remember that there is none else besides Him. Because I myself always will fly out in different directions. But to each other we can do this, and even more. We pay attention, we notice the Creator is acting in the friends, that the Creator is giving hell to the friends. Today I was in the kitchen, my phone fell over and it broke. And then a friend came to me and said, remember that was none else besides Him. And my immediate response, I couldn't think of it, but he immediately saw that it's the Creator wanting to awaken me. So it's like everything is to always try and see how to help the friends.
Pharaoh is the attitude that awakens in the man, in us together, that wants to expel the Creator, simply wants to expel his dominion. So there's no problem to hold with hate against it, because it happens when we try to connect, when we're trying to discover the Creator. That attitude raises its head, saying, there's no Creator, you can do it on your own, you're capable, let's do the work. And we can develop the attitude towards it. If we want to do the work between us constantly in order to reach prayer to the Creator, to be connected, adhere to Him, there's no problem in that. Our style of work is simply one. It's above all sorts of states, but it's only singular, one kind, more connection in order to be adhered to the Creator.
I have this feeling from the deficiency Hanoch raised that we're trying to think too much. We just need to devote ourselves to what's happening here. And if to think of anything, then think of how to bring the friends closer to the Creator. And deal only with that thought, no matter what. Everything else is just to devote yourself to the light that's revealed here. And to enjoy what's happening here. It's the Creator is being revealed to us right here in front of our eyes. We only need to bring our friends closer into this image.
If the goal is to strengthen or build the muscle of love more and more, we have to work against this resistance. That resistance is Pharaoh. That's why Pharaoh is the one who helps us develop that ability to question it. And that Pharaoh, which is the posterior of the Creator, becomes the face of the Creator.
In other words, we're talking about working above reason. It's about wanting, on the one hand, to bestow upon the friends, to build the network of connection between us. On the other hand, the hatred, the separation, to feel myself separate from Pharaoh. Pharaoh exists, I know he does. But on the other hand, I also have the Creator, I also have bestowal. I can advance from that desire, and if I take it with me, then I work with Him together with the Creator.
I'm asking out loud, how can we answer workshop questions without inserting our intellect? I don't know what the answer is. I have a feeling that it will help me to hear you, perhaps.
That's not a problem. From your efforts and desire to understand, then you awaken the light. Then the heart understands. We build a common... we don't scrutinize it intellectually, delve deeper into it until you reach the heart of the friends. Until we catch it. That's what we can do.
I don't understand why there are people who think we speak from the intellect. I feel like everyone, most people, if not everyone, speaks from an inner feeling that connects us. Bon.
And that's how the environment works on each other. You need to search for these examples in the friends and to truly see how they do it and how they are truly in that sensation and how they're speaking from that feeling and not from their mind. And then specifically to want to be like them.
Yeah, they are great friends, giant friends, loving friends who allow you, who facilitate all the conditions. Just work. Just don't forget for a second those basic fundamental principles, the anchors of our work, which are the greatest of the friends, love of friends, the reforming light. I don't know. Somehow, again, there's a feeling that it's on the way. It's on the way. We have to hold on tight to one another and simply charge into this thing.
And now there's a feeling suddenly that we're connected, that we agree, but don't agree to that. Increase.
Excerpt number 7 from Purpose of Society 2 by Rabash. We need a society, so everyone will form a great force, so we can work together on annulling the will to receive, called evil, as it hinders the achievement of the goal for which man was created. For this reason, society must consist of individuals who unanimously agree that they must achieve it. Then, all the individuals become one great force that can fight against itself, since everyone is integrated in everyone else. Thus, each person is founded on a great desire to achieve the goal. Again, we need a society that will form a great force, so we can work together on annulling the will to receive, called evil, as it hinders the achievement of the goal for which man was created. For this reason, society must consist of individuals who unanimously agree that they must achieve it. Then, all the individuals become one great force that can fight against itself, since everyone is integrated in everyone else. Thus, each person is founded on a great desire to achieve the goal.
I still don't really understand. Who am I fighting? That's my only desire. The will to receive, the desire to receive. How can I fight against it? If I turn to the group and I don't want to connect to them, let's say I want to, only with my will to receive. The second I imagine that it's my will to bestow, then I already don't have the strength to do anything. If I'm thinking of there is none else besides him, so there's no Pharaoh here, there's no evil here, but it's all a single force looking at everything and behaving with me, playing with me, just like we are with little kids, just like Rabash writes. Once he shows us a laughing face and once a severe face, a stern face. If I truly make an effort to think that there is none else besides him, then I don't even see a place of work here. How do we arrange our relationships, our attitude towards our connection in the group with the Creator against the force that is in itself, that inserting an evil force that prevents us from connecting? How can we correctly treat the force that is against connection? That I know that it's the Creator doing this to me. How do I treat him with this crudeness, with consistency, persistence, with hatred? How can I do that? We need to somehow settle these two things between us. So please. We've been revolving around this point this entire lesson. Go ahead.
I'll just repeat the question. How do we treat all these disturbances, all these states, when this is the force that resists it, the connection? What is the correct attitude towards them? So, I think we need to treat them as means. This is what is helping us. Those are the opportunities we have to build connection, to truly rise above our egos.
If I identify a force that's against connection, that's good, because it means I'm already relating to connection. And it reminds me that I already have some kind of opportunity to advance, to make an effort above it. The thing is to leave it in the air, where the goal is this connection, to make room for the Creator.
Yeah, we have to engrave on the heart, on the brain, that it's a reaction when we try to connect. The resistance to connection arises. So when I try to connect, the opposite form arises, and it comes from the Creator. And as we said, it's to display both sides, the light and the darkness, on top of which I can obtain the discernment.
There's this Rabash article where he talks to the ego and he says, yes, you're right, but you now sit aside and I'll go do what I want, and then we'll talk. And that's the thing. It doesn't really matter if I now experience for connection or against connection or anything. What matters is that I'm going towards connection with the friends. And whatever will be, I need to constantly aim myself to that. How do I bring everything that happens to me towards the effort of connection with the friends? I like it, I don't like it. Above, to cover it up with love. These efforts towards each one, to cover with love everything that's going on inside, that is what at the end of the day draws the light.
We define the wisdom of Kabbalah, hatred, as separation. Because we're talking about equivalence of form. If I hate something, it means I'm separate from it. Meaning, I want to be detached from my will to receive. I don't care about its reaction to me. I'm not entering into argument with him or anything. No, I'm going towards love, connection with the friends, with the Creator. That's what I'm interested in, and that's the meaning of hating the Pharaoh and being in love and connection with the Creator. That's it.
Actually, I can look at everything that takes place in reality, including Pharaoh itself, as forces that work towards the purpose of creation. And even Pharaoh itself is sent by the Creator, not so that it will exist and disturb, but it's there so I will build a greater effort above him to want more than it and to want connection.
To be in adhesion, that's the goal ultimately. So it doesn't matter what's happening on the path. Catch yourself with the friends. It doesn't matter what happens along the way. You discover these splits, become a spiritual schizophrenic. You discover them in you. You discover you have no chance of uniting these things in your perception of reality. To love the friends, you have two forces. They're both required to attain the wholeness, and the goal is not in this scrutiny. The scrutiny is somewhere else.
השפעה לפתוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה לפתוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. היחס שלך הוא טוב ומתאים, ורק בזכותך נוכל להזיק, תמונת בינה השפעה כמוך נגיד. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה לפתוח עיניים, להיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. אז תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה לפתוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. לה 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 השמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפתוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים. תן לנו כוח לצאת ממצרים, בלב ובמוח לפנות לשמיים, לקנות השפעה, לפתוח עיניים, לחיות בחברה כמו טיפה בכוס מים.
Please take a seat. Take a seat. Girls, please take an example from the guys. I hope you've found a solution of how to treat the Creator, who is also Pharaoh, and how to hate the force of resistance of connection, even though it comes from there is none else besides Him. Did you? No, I don't believe it. How? I don't believe that you did it. I don't know. I can even ask you. Well, let's see who's the biggest chutzpahdik from the men's side and the biggest chutzpahdik from the women's side. Let's see. Go up to the mic. What are they shouting out? Go ahead. But that you... Todd! Hey, go on, Todd. Todd from England.
New Kabbalistic phrase.
משפט קבליסטי חדש.
Maybe it's better in English, but we'll try it.
אולי עובד יותר טוב באנגלית, אבל ננסה.
Attitude of gratitude.
גישה של הודיה.
Attitude of gratitude.
גישה של הודיה.
Put it on a t-shirt.
צריך לשים את זה על חולצה.
There's something there. It's part of the answer, yes. Well, where's the woman? There's someone standing there, right? Yes.
We think that the force which prevents us of connection helps us to believe in connection and reinforce our desire to connection. Because if we didn't have this, it would be so easy. Connection then would be just an easy task. So what would be the point? Where did you say at the beginning?
לא, משפט אחד קצר.
No. One short sentence.
The force which prevents us from connection helps us to be more motivated to connect. Because without making an effort, it wouldn't be much point, it wouldn't be much glory in being united.
Please repeat. In truth, you're both right. You are both right. The correct answer includes both of your answers, because it says that we need to tie everything to the fact that the final act starts with the initial thought. That I need both of these forces in Igmar Tikkun. They don't disappear. We don't cut any force with respect to the other, no. But we use these two forces equally. That is why each time we raise ourselves above, and Todd said it correctly, and so did the lady, that we raise ourselves above. Meaning that what do we need to be resisting, contradicting, to rise above? Again, even more contradiction, even higher above. This work is revealed in the middle line. And then we see that there can't be the Creator and its oppositeness, but that aren't together. The light and darkness, darkness and light, all of these contradictions have to be together, otherwise the person won't be able to exist. Okay. What's next? Musicians, they ran away? Okay. That's okay. That's all right. That's fine. Go ahead. Next. Moshe. we need to remember that the society was established.
Excerpt number 8 from Concerning Love of Friends, Rabash. We must remember that the society was established on the basis of love of others. So each member would receive from the group the love of others and hatred of himself. And seeing that his friend is straining to annul his self and to love others, would cause everyone to be integrated in their friend's intentions. Thus, if the society is made of 10 members, for example, each will have the 10 forces practicing self-annulment, hatred of self, and love of others. Question. Of course, none of us has any strength that we can actually give to one another. We're only, according to the lack of strength that we have and the desire to give. Although none of us has the strength, but we have the desire to give it, the Creator works through us. How does it happen? How is it that when I feel I have nothing to give to the friend, only desire, the Creator, through this desire, passes the strength to everyone? I feel I have nothing to give, and nevertheless I'm trying. Rav, today we have tough lessons. Tomorrow is going to be a little lighter. They told me first day to kind of get into it, and then the second day to show some mercy. I don't know why, but that's what they told me. So tomorrow will be a little better, I promise. So why is it that the instant I want to give everything to the friend, but I have nothing to give other than that giving? The Creator works through me and gives it to me. Please. I'm needful. I am only a conduit. There's nothing in me. I'm like an empty pipe that wants to pass it, but needs to have something to pass. The important thing is to see that if I do an action and I'm afraid to ruin something, and I do something and I destroy it again and again, until you understand you have to be a conduit. I can do good to him. He can do good to them. I only need to connect him and the friends. There's a combination of two things here. On the one hand, I have a desire to give. On the other hand, I have the understanding that I have nothing to give. It requires me to turn to the Creator in order to ask the friends and for the friends and pass it to them. That's exactly the state of being a conduit. On the one hand, you have the one who wants to give, and then the one who needs to receive, and I'm the one connecting the two. Yeah, that's the equation that brings us to the solution of the exercise. There's an upper, there's a lower, and my action is to pass it to the lower one. That's like a math exercise. There's this famous idiom, like, you want to bestow, bestow. I think this is where this is the crux of the matter, because if the person wants to give, the Creator allows it. Because if it's differently, if he needs to check it, there's already kind of something impure. But if you want to bestow, bestow.
אם אני רוצה להיות במצב שאני נותן, והחבר תמיד...
If I state that I give, and the friends want to receive, it's a natural thing, they don't need to try too hard. Then there's a state where, a very special state, where I want to perform certain action, not for myself, and I can't do it. Or rather, I'm only in a state where I want to do it. And the minute I want to do it without any motivation for myself, any incentive for myself, then something else makes it happen and not me. And now, for example, we can connect more and exert more, and specifically when each one wants for the others to connect, and he can't give that connection to them, and then specifically he can ask the Creator to connect to the friends. Yeah, it sits well with the despair for my own strength. I have nothing to give. I'm despaired of my own strength, and only then the Creator can give something. And then we locate that force of bestow. What is it exactly? Contrary to the force of reception that motivated us all the time, we hit a state where the force of bestow overtakes the connection between us. It turns out that this Congress is a very interesting scheme by the Creator, because you're looking around, you see people who want to connect, meaning people do want to connect, they want to give. You feel that they truly give to one another. So it's interesting, it's an interesting point. Typically, everything I have in my relationship to the friend, it has to do with receiving from him, not to give. So the instant I begin to feel that I want to give to the friend, even just a little bit, nobody's even talking about everything, then already there's a discernment. And if I come to a place where I want to give everything and I feel that there isn't anything that I can give because I'm a will to receive, then we should have at least a plea to the Creator. Otherwise, who will allow me to continue? I feel dead. If I reach a state where I want to give the friend everything and I have nothing, and this is my desire, this is a new kind of desire, I need the Creator to revive it, to allow me to be in this giving. It appears to be a great place to linger on for a second. The moment that I want to give everything to the friend, but I have nothing, it's like, wow, I want to give everything to the friend. Everything. Meaning there's nothing left of you. And there's no consolation. Meaning, on the one hand, it's like on the one hand you want to give everything, on the other hand you understand that you're nothing. You have nothing. This is a feeling that appears like you can't remain there even for a second. It's either you disappear or the Creator will help you. What comes to my head is like a mother who must feed her babies, but she has nothing to give them. Think about this state. Hanoch said, you can't stay in that state for a second. You must give them because they have to eat, but you have nothing to give them. You need help. You must receive help from someone. And who can help you? I was also impressed by the word everything, that you have nothing for yourself, no inclination. And the other thing I want to say, it takes me to Bchina Bet, the second discernment. She wants to give back to the bestower, and she discovers she has nothing to give, and then it develops to Bchina Gimel, the third discernment. To give everything to the friend, I can lie, I can act, I can bring it out somehow, but if I have nothing to give, I don't think I'm in that place where my will to receive feels I have nothing to give. I constantly look for schemes and tactics of how to give, and I still didn't reach a state where I have nothing to give. It's a state where the friend's desire, I'm included in it, or my desire becomes his desire. I want nothing for myself. And it's like raising man. The Creator responds to that immediately because I bring him, I serve him as he said earlier. It's called everything. I don't belong to that. My whole role here is to simply connect the quality of bestowal and the desire of the friend. To be this adapter. And that's what we're building between us. This possibility for everyone to be included of the desires of everyone, and together we generate this one vessel for which we can raise a prayer, we can ask of the Creator.
The word everything is a beautiful word to clothe in the feeling that I can give everything. That all of my thoughts, every desire of mine, only from giving, from receiving it from me, that is what will make me happy. This inclination is very special.
It brings up a thought in me that maybe what we discover at the end of that giving is that we can't want it, we can't desire it. It's like two opposites.
Through this place we find that we must influence each other. The only thing we can give is bestowal, is spirituality. It's our exit to that spiritual world where we give. It's all in this, like in this soup, and we are the croutons. And Rav, many times he gives that example. That is the connection we want.
This is the great luck, the great privilege that we have, because we're in the workshop every day, a few hours, even if it's inside the lesson, outside the lesson, because from this intermingling in one another, we have the opportunity to be in contact constantly as a 10 with the Creator, to demand the reforming light, to build a spiritual vessel all the time. And from these common efforts that each one here is doing, everyone is doing it together. We simply draw the reforming light onto this reality, onto this world, until it will reach everyone. It's simply insane.
Just to describe it simply, how do we need, what is the correct state we need to be in to become a pipeline for bestowal?
Because what is everything? Everything is, I want the friend to be in adhesion with the Creator. That's everything for the friend. That's what we want for him.
Let's move on, friends, to quote number 6. Not the time for the livestock to be gathered, from Bala Sulam. It is forbidden for one to exclude himself from the collective and to ask for himself, not even to bring contentment to one's maker, but only for the entire collective. Because one who departs from the collective to ask for one's own soul does not build, to the contrary. He brings destruction upon his soul. Even during the work, when one prays in solitude, against his will he departs from the public and ruins his soul. And also during the work, when one prays individually, for no individual lacked anything, because they did not feel as separate beings. And this was their power to come out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Therefore, every person must make the utmost effort to join the assembly of Israel with every plea to the Creator in prayer and in the work, and include himself in the root of all of Israel. Again, it is forbidden for one to exclude himself from the collective and to ask for himself, not even to bring contentment to one's maker, but only for the entire collective. Because one who departs from the collective to ask for one's own soul does not build, but to the contrary, he brings destruction upon his soul. As it's written, he who is prideful. Even during the work, when one prays in solitude against his will, he departs from the public and ruins his soul. And even during the work, when one prays individually, he exits the collective and prays for himself. For no individual lacked anything, because they did not feel as separate beings. And this was their power to come out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Therefore, every person must make the utmost effort to join the assembly of Israel with every plea to the Creator in prayer and in work, and include himself in the root of all of Israel.
How can we keep ourselves from burning ourselves in spirituality by forgetting, by finding ourselves completely detached from this prohibition, and ask for ourselves? Because typically, either with words, without words, and thoughts, we're constantly demanding for ourselves something. When will we stop? Will we stop doing that? Only on the condition that we will exchange our thoughts for ourselves with thoughts about the group, and through it to the Creator. How to do it? How to do it? Because otherwise, I'm instantly thinking of myself. That means that I'm praying or I'm asking for myself. Meaning, with our thoughts, we're constantly disconnecting ourselves from the general kli, and we throw ourselves to the klipot, to the shells. How can we think differently? On the contrary, that if I don't think of connection, if I don't pray for the group, I'm certainly praying for myself, and by that I'm bringing harm and ruin to my soul. How can we keep ourselves? How can we protect ourselves from disconnecting from the prayer for the group? What should we do? How do we summarize this? How to hold on to this? Let's go.
The only way is to be under the influence of the 10. There was a live example here in the...
Rav, I'll tell you in advance. The solution is to have a covenant with the Creator. And he signed the covenant with him, as it's written. We need to sign a covenant with the Creator, that He will watch over us, but on the condition that we also do something. Please, how do we do it?
He will take care of us if we take care of each other. If we just make sure to take care of each other all the time, what does that mean? I need to try and to deal with caring for everyone, to putting the 10 into my prism of reality, to make it an inseparable part of my daily, through artificial things in the beginning, until it will be like anything else, like an athlete that does this and that amount of exercises every day. He knows he has to. So we just need to put it into our routine, because by that, the 10 becomes important to me. I become more sensitive, and that way each one works towards everyone else.
There's no way I'll be able to succeed in it, even though I really want it, unless there will be some practical agreement between us. Not I obligate to think of the friends and pray for them. It doesn't hold water. Unless the 10 expects of me, it knows I need to do so and so. I need to show them, to speak to them, to act before them. They expect it, they demand it, or they'll never accept me in the 10. I have to do it. So from within my ego, I'll start to work. It'll give me a motivation to work in this way. And each one of us, and all of us together, we know that we are now waging war against the ego. We're signing a covenant against our common enemy, and we use him in order to realize. Otherwise, to say that I will think of the friends all day, I'm afraid it will remain on the level of words, like a check without a cover. We
need to create between us connections of commitment of arvut. That every time it will fall apart, we need to again bring back this commitment. And every time again to put in the Creator in His current form in our covenant.
We should not rely on our thoughts because no one is master of his thoughts. But we're not talking about thinking, we're talking about practical things. We're talking about specific things we have to do every day. If we have to be in meetings of the 10, if we need to, I don't know what, duty on the WhatsApp and all sorts of things of coming and putting it into our daily routine. Not thoughts. Thoughts are, a person is not measured in his thoughts, and the only chance I have to succeed, you're right, I'll never be able to do it, but it's only if others will do it, if others will pressure me to do, if others will give me the strength, even without the pressure, because you can't really put pressure on a person, but there's something in the air, and if it exists, it motivates. And it's little things, a little word that a friend throws at you, something, it does the whole difference. I called a friend from the 10 last week because I was completely upside down. He told me, call someone. And I called someone who I was, kind of a little at odds with, and he said, Hanoch, I'm so happy to hear your voice. It gives you the strength to run.
It's like we need the arvut to keep the arvut. We need to put it on this network of connection between us. And in that network of connection, we need to act all the time. And whoever has that ability to pray for the friends, so pray. And from that prayer, from that request to the Creator, I actually work on the friends. I hold the friends between us. And if every friend does that, that will be the realization of arvut. I really identified with that pressure Hanoch spoke of. That if you pressure me, that's your arvut to me. That you're forcing me to come out of myself. And that's what we need to do with each other. So that we won't ask for ourselves. But that specifically from that pressure will create between us this atmosphere. Quote number 9 from the introduction to the book of Zohar, 2 points. Prior to being rewarded with inverting the desire to receive in us through Torah and mitzvot into reception in order to bestow, there are strong locks on those gates to the Creator. For then they have the opposite role, to drive us away from the Creator. This is why the forces of separation are called locks, since they block the gates of approaching and drive us away from the Creator. But if we overcome them so they do not affect us, cooling His love from our hearts, then the locks become doors, and the darkness becomes light, and the bitter becomes sweet. And over all the locks we receive a special degree in His providence, and they become openings, degrees of attainment of the Creator.
Question. Resistance, locks, walls, all sorts of forces that we call them in this way, that obstruct us from connecting in a web where the Creator can be revealed. They later become specifically openings, places where He is revealed. It cannot be that there will be a place for the revelation of the Creator except through those forces that resist the revelation of the Creator. If we've learned from many verses today, there's a direct ratio between the force of resistance and the force of overcoming, and the force of, or the intensity or level of revelation. The one belongs to the other. They're interconnected. So we cannot escape this work. Everything depends on how much we agree between us that we help one another, how much we agree about our connection with the Creator. We are in mutual guarantee, in our avut between us and Him. And in this way, with understanding, with this general form of how we're working, it's not like we don't know where to work or how. Rather, we know it's the Creator who did those things to us. As He's telling Moses, come to Pharaoh because I've burdened his heart. Well, what does it mean? So who am I going to? You're going to your enemy, the one who hates you, and you need to hate him. And I've made this hater before you. I'm holding in my hand all the forces of evil, and you'll need to face them in order to grow up and be like me. Otherwise, you'll have nothing on which to do it, and also you won't have anywhere to do it. Only if we establish these forces correctly, that's our entire work. Our work is only to arrange them in the correct way. You know how it's written at the end of the Egyptian exile. The Pharaoh knows why they need to come out of exile, that they're going to correct the whole world, and he's opening the door for them, and they're going out, and he's closing the door behind them, so they won't even come back. It's exactly how all those forces are working in our favor. We'll sing something and then we'll ask questions. Prepare for questions.
שמיים
Okay, friends, let's move on to the questions. We already have the first question ready. Please, go ahead. On the men's side, go ahead.
Misha from Moscow. Today, the whole lesson, you asked us during the workshop, we understood, we tried to connect these two concepts, two opposite concepts. We came to the conclusion in the tent that you can reach an answer to the questions in the workshop only if we reach despair. But when we try to answer these questions, it's like as if all our templates were torn apart inside of us. Is this the only way for everyone to go to the hospital? Maybe it shouldn't be so difficult. Rav. I never saw anyone who went crazy from the wisdom of Kabbalah. I'll tell you why. You may believe me or not, but there's a special force that maintains a person, sustains them. He cannot go crazy. Only such people who come to the wisdom that are already little flies who fly into the fire and are burnt. We have many people like that. They're drawn to mysticism, to all sorts of things, and so when they come to us, they leave very quickly, and they leave unsatisfied from the wisdom of Kabbalah because it brings them down from the level of mysticism to the normal level. So what's going on here? I'll tell you. What we're trying to do is to build a spiritual vessel. But you can build it only by receiving the force of bestowal. Then, corresponding to our receiving force, we'll have the bestowing force. And with these two forms, we can be in the middle line, meaning in reason and in faith above reason, force of reception and force of bestowal. And before we have that, we'll never be able to understand how the Creator can work in these two forms. And we have to take this game seriously. If they didn't tell us that there's a good force on one side and the evil force on the other side, and we fight it, but it's like that letter of Bala Sulam, where the king told the ministers to, he made his slave, it was the guard of the palace, and he told the ministers that they have to, he told one minister that he has to dress up as a robber, as a murderer. Why? That's exactly that example. The king wants in this way to grow his slave. That if he will fight, he will get vessels from the experience. So what's happening here? We need to know that this is all done by the Creator. As Bala Sulam writes, but although everyone knows that there is no cruel person in the king's palace, still you cannot avoid the sensation of threat. that nevertheless is felt when they close on you. You can't. We have another example. There's a group. Let's say the government of a country, comes down on it. Various circles. What? This group doesn't know it all comes from the Creator? It knows. Does it relieve the fear, the anxiety, the desire to object and to try to arrange things differently? No. Why? Because we don't understand how to reconcile these two things. We still don't have the spiritual vessel. Soon, if we don't go crazy, we'll come to it and we'll understand. So friends, anyone who wants to ask a question now can come to our ushers wearing the red hats. So we're asking to please come with a written question and the usher will allow you to ask it, please. Rav, I also want to tell you that it might appear, this lesson might appear as, a collection of things that are not so clear, not so sharp. Specifically, that lesson built in us some very good discernments. It advanced us very nicely. Hello, Rav. I'm Yulia from the group of St. Petersburg. My question, I have the following question. How to reach the state of despair from our own strength, but altogether? Rav, I will answer. First of all, don't think about despair. Think about triumph in the connection between us. And we all work on the connection together with everything we have. Then we discover that we have no strength, we have zero hope. But all of us together. And then all of us together are crying out. Meaning, why did we need to be in an attack for connection? Even though we hear now that it is impossible, but we were in an attack. Why? Because we have a totally different goal. The goal is to be together. And then we will cry out together and the Creator will help. Clear? My name is Franco from the Italian group. It's my first time in Israel, to breathe that air. My question is as follows. Everything clearly comes from the Creator. How can we receive all the corporeal and spiritual abundance? Can we receive everything, both in the corporeal world and the spiritual world? Rav, I didn't get it. What do you mean everything? To receive everything means to fill the vessels. So I promise you, you will fill all your desires, all your vessels, if that's what you're asking. Say, I promise. I promise. That's it?
שלום, אני הגרה מחדרה.
Hello, my name is Hagara from Chadera.
רציתי לשאול, לקח לי הרבה...
I want to ask, it took me many years to start to feel that rejection that I heard you speaking of. Not to the path, but to the friends occasionally. I wanted to ask, what is the correct way for working with it? Do I need to move it aside, overcome it, ignore it, let it pass, or to work with it, aside from the internal scrutinies that it gives me? I'll tell you. If you will, occasionally participate, and I know you're doing it, if you will participate, I'm talking in general about women, if you're asking. If women participate on occasion in our studies, on occasion in gatherings among themselves, but especially in dissemination. I spoke about dissemination. This is something that especially women should do. It's like giving birth. It's like building a house, a home, or building the intention. It's really to organize. A woman is called a home. If women work on that and while they disseminate, while they help, while they take care of all those things, together with that, they're willing to be in connection between themselves. This is the real work that is given to women, and that corrects their soul. A woman is exempt from such actions where she needs to connect with other women in the same way as men need to. There isn't such an obligation for them. There's only mutual help, mutual support, to be in one connection, like in a commune, but not like the men. They are in a different form of the spiritual vessel. Men belong to reflected light. Women belong to Malchut. And that's why the work is very different. It's enough if a woman participates in all the events, and most importantly, in dissemination. Please. Next question. Hello, good day, Rav. I'm Maksat from Kazakhstan. I'm representing our friends from Kazakhstan, 20 friends who came here. How to reach a state where Pharaoh will let us go and also close the door behind us. In the workshop, we spoke about how we need to reach a state where he will not need us, but how to reach that state where he draws no benefit from us. How to do it so he will seemingly kick us out. It's not simple. We will learn how to do it. It doesn't exactly kick us out. Rather we run away at night. But how to do it? Simply imagine that we are here because of the Creator. We must, nevertheless, we must face the force that separates us. And we must understand that the force that is separating us and the force that is connecting us, they must appear together, because the purpose of creation, from there, we are working with both of these forces together. And specifically when they begin to become equal, become close to the actualization of the vessel, that's what we need to think. That's what we need to understand and feel and work with. And there is none else besides him here, and he is working in these two forms. And we, in the understanding that it's coming from him, nevertheless we object to it and we separate and we resist the separation. It's not a problem. The most important thing here is to understand what is the hatred. The hatred is not towards the rejecting force. The hatred is against, how shall I put it? The hatred is against, or rather towards, when I exert in the connection with a friend and the opposite force comes, this opposite force disconnects me from there's no else besides him. And that's why I hate him. I don't know how to explain it more. It's not for now. More? Hello, Rav. My name is Tatiana from Bulgaria.
удивительный конгресс. זה כנס נפלא.
It's an amazing congress.
שלפני שהתחיל השיעור על...
Of course, before the lesson started about despair, I truly felt this sensation. And the whole lesson, everything you spoke about, was an exact depiction of the state I was feeling. And my question is,
вы не могли бы подсказать, когда понимаешь, что надо попросить Творца?
At that moment where you understand you need to ask the Creator, a moment before that you didn't even know you have to ask. And that moment you feel that you have to. So please tell me, what am I asking? What to tell him? I ask you, please. You need to ask your friends, and together, to try to do it. That's it. And what to ask? Ask that we want to be together in one desire. That's it. Towards you, for you, give you room to reveal yourself between us. What does it mean? That you will be revealed between us, that there will be connection between us and love. And then in that connection we'll feel you. This is something we have to ask, but not alone. Good luck. We have time for one last question, Rav.
Hi, Rav. My name is Eugene. I'm from New York.
זה יוג'ין מניו יורק.
And I have a question in line with the question you asked during the seminar.
יש לי שאלה בקשר לשאלה ששאלת בסדנה.
So where do we get the strength to overcome the ego when we are in despair from having no strength, not even the strength to pray?
מאיפה יש לנו כוח? מאיפה יש לי כוח להתגבר על האגו במצב של ייאוש כשאין לי שום כוח, אפילו לא כוח להתפלל?
Of course there's no strength, but they are friends. I don't understand. A person has no strength, no power. That's clear from the outset. Rather, if he connects with the friends, then through the forces of the friends, the Creator gives strength. We spoke about it today. Even the friends have no strength. But with the desire that they have to connect, through that, the Creator bestows influences. This is called Arvut, as it's written, and He signed a covenant with Him. That if we want to bestow to one another, then the Creator bestows through us.
What if there is no strength to unite, to ask the friends as well?
אבל אם אין כוח אפילו להתאחד וגם לבקש מהחברים.
אז אין מה לעשות.
There's nothing to do. Go home.
אני אומר ברצינות.
I'm saying it with all seriousness. You can give me all sorts of excuses. And what if this? And what if that? So there is no strength. What else? We are in this world. Why? Because we can be influenced through the problems of this world. And then we will desire even to connect reluctantly because there's no choice. If everything would end in spirituality, then you're right, I have no more strength. What do you want from me? But we live corporeal life, our beastly life, physical life in this world, and then we receive blows in this world, more and more and more, until we agree. That's it. You can't say that I'm unable. Surely you're unable, you're incapable. I don't want it. Sure, you don't want it. So what? You have a spark. You want to realize it? Please. If not, then you will want it. Because ultimately you are a small desire to receive, and the Creator will arrange such troubles for you, not just for you, to everyone. So that you would want to do everything except to suffer. That's how we live. The world advances towards a state where everyone will simply want to give up everything just not to suffer, because the smaller the will to receive, the less you suffer. So from that, a person is ready to, want nothing. As long as he doesn't suffer, even to connect with others, just not to suffer. Our matter is the will to receive pleasure. That's why we're so weak. And you'll see how reality comes closer daily to a state where they will want to hear, will want to bestow, will want to even connect. Why? Otherwise, they'll feel bad. That's it. So, therefore, as a result of the command of the Creator, and because there's a commandment to love the other, we have to publicize it. Publicize the method of correction in order to connect and to save ourselves from the path of suffering. Good luck. Following Rav's words and the topic of our lesson, I wanted to present a book before you called Slaves, Coming Out of Egypt in the 21st Century. And it takes all the ideas we spoke about in this lesson and it translates them to the widest, most general language to everyone. Another important thing that relates to the nation, the method of correction for the general public, it's called one-to-one. Reality in the eyes of the Kabbalist. In this book, we've packaged all of the most important articles and most fascinating articles that Rav wrote in the last couple of years, and published in newspapers in Israel and around the world, 1-to-1. Now, the book is a cinematic experience that was translated to a book, The Kabbalist, the story of Baal HaSulam, a cinematic novel. It's a book that takes you on a journey inside yourself and your existence. It's a book written by Simeon Vinokur, highly recommended in all languages. And another journey with many pictures, it's here. It's called The Spiritual Journey Through the Land of Israel. It's a book and also a photo album. It explains the spiritual geography of this wonderful country where we live. From the highest Sphira down to the lowest, from Keter to Malchut, with many pictures. It's a great gift to everyone you love. I remind you, these new books that I presented, Why Do They Hate Us, Holidays and Their Roots, and Kabbalah and Science Meet. Rav, before you summarize, I want, and for all the messages, Rav, if you can prepare a small exercise for us. So just so we know, Rav Leitman will sign books right now in the archive booth, right after we finish. And the donation booth is active, and you can go and receive an explanation from the team there. The bookstore is open. It's not just books; there are souvenirs and a lot of special things. It's very recommended. It's a very recommended thing to visit because, and then be ready. The story of Caesarea and Rabbi Akiva, of their friend as yourself, the natural spring of Gash, and also you will receive the latest book Oren showed you, The Land of Israel, a spiritual journey through the country of Israel. All those friends and the friends that signed up to help with the guide, the tour through Israel, we meet here. And once we finish here, we have a concert outside and a great deal of activities and coffee and cookies, and dinner is 5:45. And after we sing the song, I'm going to ask everyone to clear the hall and go outside. We want to get organized here and great activities outside. Rav Leitman, exercise for the break. An exercise for the break. We can do everything with our desire. Everything. No restrictions. From above, they let us do everything, anything. All we need to do is feel that we are ready, getting ready to leave Egypt. That's it. Try to imagine how we are really at the point right before the exodus from Egypt. Try to feel it. Try to be in it, inside your feelings. Just like you are on the verge of traveling somewhere nice. At least in this way, we are on the threshold of the exodus from Egypt. If there will be a strong desire from everyone, you will feel substantial changes. Good luck.
בצער לא נכיר, ובכל בית, בכל עיר, בכל לב אותו אשיר. אותי לעוד מעט בינינו ובינו, 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 אותי לעוד מעט בינינו. לילה לילה לילה
לחיים חברים, לחיים. טוב, עכשיו יש לנו, כמו שאמרנו...
All right, now we have a celebration and a performance in the yard outside, and Rav is going to sign books, so you should also go and get that opportunity. You can hear about our archive, how you can participate. Dinner 5:45. We want to get organized as quickly as possible, so you'll have some time so you can prepare for the next events. Of course, we have coffee and tea and everything, souvenirs, whatever you want. So in short, 5:45 we have dinner. We'll be waiting for you here.